y'all want to do a fellowship. Another new moon.
All right. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rakab, B'dash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children, brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. We out here once again to let the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans know we're God's chosen people. We're the Israelites according to the Holy Bible. We come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of this wicked kingdom known as America, which is Babylon the Great according to the Holy Bible, and is ruled and ran by the so-called white man Esau Edom, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of. We out here to proclaim the return of our Lord and Savior, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His true ancient biblical name is Yahweh Shai. He is a dark-skinned man with woolly hair, and he's coming back to bring salvation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. And he's coming back to bring judgment unto the rest of the earth, including 2/3 of our people who refuse to return and repent to the Heavenly Father. You know, and our people, they think everything that's going on is not life-threatening or it's not serious. You know, our people, they don't consider how detrimental the times we living in and how more and more on edge people are getting. I had seen yesterday an article about an Edomite man. He was in New Jersey. Went to a beach somewhere, you know, and I guess he was on a pier with his daughter, and a seagull flew up and tried to take some of her food. And somehow, some way, he caught the bird and decapitated it. Yeah. This was back in 2024, but you know he wound up getting arrested for it. But the poster had said he was already angry before then, and ain't no telling why or what was going on. But when you look at the picture, he had a picture on his arm 666, so you already know what time he was on, you know. But more and more people are on edge, you know, because the seagull was just trying to get some food, and they were trying to get it from his daughter because his daughter had food, and I definitely understand. Being on a beach around them birds, they gonna fly up and try to take what you got. You know, they done that to me before, but never got to the extremity of capturing it, or how, it don't even say how he decapitated, it just say he decapitated it. And then he walked up to a restaurant looking for a bag with the decapitated bird in his hand. More and more people are getting on edge, and it's because of the plagues. And like I said, they were back in 2024. So now we talking about the U.S. in the whole direct war with Iran, with Russia and China supporting Iran, and you got U.S. U.S. soldiers saying that the U.S. is losing the war. They letting you know what's going on. That U.S. and then on the video that he was playing, the soldier, you can hear the gunshots in the background. So he in the middle of a war, middle of the battlefield, got on his phone, got on TikTok, just to say that the U.S. is losing the war, and that the U.S. might be cooked. And that's why they're trying to send more and more troops. That's why they're talking about sending in ground troops, because they're not winning. But people don't realize how this is going to affect their lives. Their lives is going to change. And this is all the plagues of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai that's coming to this people. You know, it will come into the earth.
I just want to add to it, because an article went out, you know, that the United States was about had a Navy ship, an aircraft carrier over in China Sea, over by China, that had, I want to say it said it had 3,000 Marines on it. You know, so they're getting ready to dock somewhere over in that region to drum up a mass ground attack. You know, so it's getting serious now that they're having to send out the Marines that they have listed And then they're going to have to start drafting because they don't have enough to cover all the areas that are being, the proxy wars that are beginning to happen, because I watched the elder the other night and he was watching this Moabite and he said he could be a Jake, but he was over in Japan and he was breaking down the way the war is being orchestrated. And he was like, the U.S. is going to war with Venezuela and Iran. Israel going to war with Iran. Russia's about to go to war with I want to say it was Venezuela, not Venezuela, Ukraine. And, he was like, all these wars about to happen. And the major players, China was going to go to war with Japan. And that's probably why that Navy ship was over in there, because Japan is one of the United States allies. And that Navy ship was going over there to assist Japan, in that war. So it's about to get really serious, like the brother's going into. And he said once these wars jump off, it's no end to them. And he did mention, the Charagma. He did mention that the small hats in the land are not, not chosen. And he said, all of it is to back up Israel, where Israel is the #1 dominant nation to rule the world. But the Most High has his own plan that's going to backfire on them. So, it's about to get ugly out here. And the war's about to get kicked off. And I did see another article where that was you that sent that, was about the Jake that was saying the draft 18 to 39 or something like that. I didn't go in and watch it, but I saw the headlines on it.
I don't know. I don't think I sent that.
Well, somebody sent that, about their drafting, and the drafters are getting ready to be invoked.
Can you get Exodus chapter 7? Like the brother going into, the Lord is going to make the people over here suffer before the destruction come. And we know that the MOTB, Revelations 13 and 16, must come to pass before those thermonuclear missiles are used to destroy or bring mass destruction. But the Lord, just like in the days of like in the days of Noah, the people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage until Noah entered the ark. And just like in ancient Egypt, the Lord brought the plagues on the people or the Egyptians. They were suffering because of Pharaoh's hardened heart and refusal to let our people go. The Egyptians were suffering for his decisions. And it's the same thing that's finna happen, but that's the same thing that's happening now. The people are finna suffer for not only just DJT, because we know he is a big, he's a pawn, but, we know the things that he's doing and saying and the orders that he's giving. But also, too, this is the Lord's plan to bring down Babylon the Great. And he's using DJT, Donald, he's using Trump to bring this place down. And the American people are finna suffer. Like I said, these people are on edge. And more people are finna be on edge, the more and more these plagues start taking hold of people.
The one that crucified John the Baptist. What's his name?
King Herod?
Herod.
Yeah. What? King Herod?
Yeah.
That's Donald Trump, okay?
Trump is Nero.
The one that crucified John the Baptist.
It's Nero.
It's Nero?
Yeah.
That's Trump.
Yeah, that's Trump.
Nah, Herod's different.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is Exodus chapter 7.
You can read it all in the AMP. Cause we're gonna be going from chapter to chapter. But we ain't gonna read the whole chapter.
All right.
But he started verse.
Let me start at 1 and then I can jump to
I was gonna say start at 9, cause 8. I would say start at 8. That's where it's gonna start going into.
Yeah, I'll read 1 and I'll jump to 8. It says, this is Exodus 7, verse 1. It says, I will stretch out my hand. It's the title. It said, then the Lord said to Moses, now hear this. I make you as God to Pharaoh, to declare my will and purpose to him, and brothers, Aaron shall be your prophet. So the Most High is talking to Moses. Jumping down to verse 8, Aaron's rod become a serpent. Now the Lord, Yahweh Shema said to Moses and Aaron, when Pharaoh say to you, work a miracle to prove your authority, then you say to Aaron, take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, so that it may become a serpent. So Moses said, Aaron, come to Pharaoh, and did just as the Lord had commanded. Aaron threw down his staff before Pharaoh, and his serpent, and it became a serpent. His servant, and it became a serpent.
Like you jump down to 14. Jump down to 14, start there.
All right, jumping down to 14. It said water turned to blood. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hard. He refused to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he is going out to the water, and wait for him on the bank of the Nile. And you shall take in your hand the staff that was turned into a serpent. You shall say to him, the Lord, the power of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, let my people go, so that they may serve me in the wilderness. But behold, you have not listened until now. Thus says the Lord, by this you shall know and recognize and acknowledge that I am the Lord. Look, with the staff in my hand, I will strike the water in the Nile, and it shall be turned to blood. The fish in the Nile will die, the Nile will become foul, and the Egyptians will not be able to drink water from the Nile.
Right, so what's going on is the Lord, we know the Lord had brought many plagues on the Egyptians, and the Egyptians suffered. And they didn't just suffer one day or 1 hour, but this plague of all the water sources turned into blood. They couldn't drink that. They had to go find another alternate water source, which it wasn't even enough in order to supply themselves to be able to survive. And then, like I said, it lasted for a couple of days. At the end of the chapter, it said it lasted for 7 days that they didn't have water. Now, this is, because what we're going into is, this is what the Lord did to ancient Egypt. This is what he's finna do to the modern Egypt again. But the Egyptians were suffering because Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go. So in modern day time, the American people are going to suffer this, and we're going to get in Revelations 18 too, where the Lord said, give her into so much torment, just like she lived deliciously. The Lord is finna bring plagues on this place, and the people of the American people are going to suffer horribly. Both the heathens, these Edomites, and 2/3 of our own people, they're going to suffer horribly and die horrible deaths. But just giving an example of what the Lord did in the ancient Egypt, he made those people suffer. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to get a couple of those plagues, so these people had to deal with this. Just, like I said, the Egyptians, they were on edge by the time the Lord brought the plague of the Passover, which the Passover is coming up real soon. By the time that came through and all the firstborn in every household of the Egyptians died, they were ready for they've been ready for our people to leave, but they gave us whatever we wanted. Whatever we wanted to take from them, they gave it. They just wanted us gone.
Get out of there.
Right, they just wanted us gone. They was so afraid of our people. you know, because they seen everything that our God did for us, you know, and he finna, that same power is finna move for the elect of his people, not the whole nation this time, only the elect. So this whole earth is finna see all these plagues come upon the American people, and you already got Americans already now making TikTok videos or online social media videos of how their life is hard, you know, how they suffering, how the economy is being so unbearable they can't live. You know, gas prices is going up, food is going up, and now you got a whole war, and everybody's lives is on the line. Everybody don't realize how much in danger they really are. Just like these Egyptians didn't realize how much in danger they really are, or where they really were, when the Lord came unto Moses. When the Lord appeared unto Moses and told Moses, look, I'm finna send you to the Egyptians, and you gonna deliver my people. They, at that time, they didn't know nothing about they didn't know nothing about it. So they didn't realize how much in danger their life was until Moses came back.
Right. You know, and just while we were standing here a minute ago, it hit my phone. And as you said, people just don't know how in danger we are.
They
are. As we spoke, we were speaking, the article hit that Louisiana, our naval air base over in Louisiana, is on lockdown right now. I don't know how, you know, if it's true or what, but they're on lockdown because a suspicious drone was flying way high up in the air, and several B-2 bombers or something like that was flying as well. So I mean, we at striking point at any minute, you know. Now I don't know if it's going to be home side strikes or if it's other countries striking, you know, because something's going to jump this chaos off. That's going to make a ripple effect. But when it do happen, you know, everything is going to be unstable, you know, and it's just going to ripple until it get to the point where, like Revelation say, this place will be destroyed in 1 hour, you know. So, but look how close to home that is. And when I say close to home, Louisiana is like right next door to us, you know. So I mean, they drop a bomb on them, you know, it's going to affect us as well.
Oh, everything on the coast it is.
Right. Well, you know, with the fallout and with the people fleeing this way, it's going to cause chaos everywhere. You know, a bomb over there be worse than Katrina.
Probably hit 400 miles from the coast where it's at. Right. It's going to tear everything up. And right. It's going to trickle down to us. Right. You know where we're about what? About 3 hours? 2 hours. 2 hours. 2.5 hours.
3 hours from New Orleans.
Yeah. So that's not far.
What? No.
All right, verse 19. Then the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their streams, over their pools, and over all their reservoirs of water, so that they may become blood, and there shall be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, in containers both of wood and of stone.
Right, so all their water sources, even the containers they already had full of water, instantly turned to blood just like that. You got it.
So Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded. Aaron lifted up his staff and struck the water in the Nile in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the water that was in the Nile was turned into blood.
You got it.
The fish in the Nile died, and the river became foul, smelling, and the Egyptians could not drink the water. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. But the magicians of Egypt did the same by their secret art and enchantment. So Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said.
Right, so because it ain't just because his magicians did the same thing. The Lord was hardening Pharaoh's heart, but his magicians did the same thing, was able to turn water to blood through their magic. And Pharaoh, he was like, man, my magician can do the same thing your God can do, so how your God superior? That that was the mindset of Pharaoh. Right. He was looking at everything that Moses was able to do. He was looking at everything Moses was able to do, and he was comparing it to what his magicians was doing, and he was like, my magician's doing the same thing, so how your God superior? But the Lord, every time, the Lord made something more and more, he took it to the next level, to where the magician eventually was like, hey, we can't do this. This God is on a whole nother level. Right. But the Lord kept hardening Pharaoh's heart. And as a result, the Egyptians were suffering because of Pharaoh's hardened heart. Similar to what the same thing these people over here in America gonna go through. They gonna continue to suffer to the next level and to the next level and to the next level. But the only difference is, this is the most wicked kingdom to ever be on the face of the earth, so the Lord is going to wipe everybody out. He didn't do that with ancient Egypt. He wiped out Pharaoh and all that army, but the Egyptians still survived. They had a new Pharaoh, a new leader, but they never became a world power like they was at that time. Yeah. So we finna see this, but we going to continue to go into more and more plagues, and just to get an idea of how much. Just to get an idea of how much these Egyptians really were suffering. And then we're gonna get the plague of darkness with Solomon. He went into it in more detail, just what these Egyptians were experiencing during those 3 days of darkness. You got it.
Then Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and he did not take even this divine sign to heart. So all the Egyptians dug near the river for water to drink, because they could not drink the water of the Nile. 7 days passed after the Lord struck the Nile.
Right, so they had to go and dig in the earth, dig all types of, all type of pits, all type of craters, holes, trying to look for any source of water to survive. They were trying to survive. They had to do this for 7 days. Well, it said 7 days that passed. It didn't go into how long, but it said 7 days that passed. So we know for sure, at least 7 days, they had to go and search for water. You know how, let that pass real quick. Can you imagine going to grocery stores and there's no water on it? Well, that done happened before, When I think when C-19 happened, they were shutting everything down. People were just buying up water. They were buying up supplies. But tissue. They were buying everything up. And you go to these stores, or when a natural disaster is finna come through, a large storm is coming through, the first thing people go and get is food and water. And you can't find it. So imagine you being one of those people, you trying to go get some water and you can't find it and you ain't got no water. And your water, the water turned off or whatever the case may be, or you got low pressure. Now you ain't got no drinking water. Now you trying to figure out how you gonna find water to drink to survive. You ain't even thinking about taking a bath. You know you need water to survive. You can't, it's only so long you can drink drinks and juice, which that's not hydrating at all. That's gonna make it worse. But people actually go, that's one of the main times people go get water. Yeah. You don't, all this time while things are good, people gonna go buy juice, they gonna go buy drinks, they gonna even go buy alcohol. But when a natural disaster or some type of disaster is coming, that's when you see people go and buy all type of bottled water. Right. And you gonna say something?
No, I was just correct, saying right.
And then too, cause we supposed to be drinking water anyway. Well, you get a lot of your hydration from fruits. Get it from fruits. You can get it from vegetables too. Like cucumbers, different things like that. Right. But And we know this water that we drinking now is not hydrated. But people, they automatically know you need water to survive. But you drink everything but water. And you will have a lot of people say they don't really drink water because it ain't got no taste and no flavor, which, again, that's true. But that don't mean you don't drink it. You wouldn't give your plants no Coke or no Sprite. You wouldn't pour that into your plants for for them to drink so they can grow. They'll die. But you would put that same poison in your body.
You know, our life stayed off, you know, calculating, stayed off for 5 straight days. No, not 5 straight days, but came on one day, stayed on one, you know, for a whole day. But we really off for about 5 days.
Yeah.
Hey, we couldn't even really take a bath. Really, we took a bath, but it was a cold shower and a warm shower. And then we, you know, all the food was in the refrigerator. It was rotten because it stayed out 5 days. So when you're going in the store buying the food, you got to think about, is this food going to last or not? Because sometimes when you buy food and the lights go out, y'all buy somebody show you something, say, okay, you bought the food, it was right in the you know, in the premium the weekend is off that you done bought. So it's best, this is why I think it's best just to buy your dinner, what you gonna cook at that time, you know, of that hour. Because it's not promised that all the food that you can buy, at least about 70 or 80, you know, to $100, that meat could rot. Because meat is the highest thing that you could buy.
Right. And that's how it's supposed to be. You supposed to, how the Lord have everything set up. You were supposed to cook new meals every day.
New meals, yeah.
Supposed to have a fresh meal every day to eat. You know, if you have, you know, extra, we had a way to preserve it, but you're supposed to have a fresh meal every day. Now, Esau got a system set up where you can't do that.
Yep.
You know, you got it. That's why, you know, he got grocery stores and he got expiration dates and different stuff. You know, that's why he got it set up like that. But this ain't how it's supposed to be.
Right.
You're supposed to have a fresh meal cooked every day.
Every day, right.
You can do it if you wanted to, you know, go to the store every day. But like you're saying, the way the system is set up, you know, it's made people lazy.
Yeah,
it ain't practical.
To grocery shop and then, you know, store because it's in you got something in a cold place.
Right.
But
go ahead. Hey, cause when Katrina had hit some years ago, you know, I had a freezer of ham, you know, deer meat, you know, the shoulder and everything, vegetables.
Before you came into the truth.
Yeah, before I came into the truth, I had all that. But guess what? Pan trout in the bag and everything, preserved. My life was out about 3 weeks in West Jackson. I couldn't eat none of that food. It had spoiled. It rotted. So they would taught me a lesson right then. Just buy what I'm gonna eat that day. You know, I couldn't eat it. So I don't pack no food no more in no freezer or refrigerator. Me and my wife, we just gonna buy what we gonna eat that day. Just enough to last a day or two. That's it.
You see, in the times that's to come, when that famine really take hold of this place, we ain't gonna, you know, the elect, Lord will, we are that number, you know, we are the hopeful elect, but the elect is not gonna have to worry about what they gonna eat or drink in that day. Because the Lord is already gonna have stuff set up, whether he perform a miracle or whether he already got people sitting back food that at that time he gonna have them to distribute it out to you, or he gonna kill them off and have you to go take their place. However he set it up, it's already set up where the elect ain't gotta worry about what they gonna eat or drink.
What they gonna eat or
I
drink.
said my elect will be eating and drinking, enjoying themselves during the time. So during this time that these plagues are happening throughout the land,
Right.
you know, his elect will be taken care of.
Right, it's the rest of the people, meaning the rest of these Americans and 2/3 of our people that's gonna have to worry about how they gonna eat, where they gonna get food from, Or if they making that decision on if they gonna eat their own children or eat people, go cannibalist, you know, that's for them to decide. But it ain't gonna be on the elect. The elect is gonna be taken care of. Now, whatever lot you may be in, you're gonna be good, you know. We're gonna go to chapter 8. We start at the top of this.
All right, Exodus chapter 8, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says the Lord, my people go, let my people go, so that they may serve me. However, if you refuse to let them go, hear this, I am going to strike your entire land with frogs. The Nile will swarm with frogs, which will come up and go into their homes, into your bedrooms, and onto your beds, and into the houses of your servants, and on your people, and into your ovens, and your kneading bowls, eating bowls. So the frogs will come up on you and your people and all your servants.
Right. So the Lord said the next plague He gonna bring upon them is the plague of frogs, and it's gonna be invading they whole personal life is gonna be invaded by frogs. Your bed, where your kitchens, where you cook at, where you eat at, where your personal time, you ain't gonna be able to lay down with your wife. You know, your children they gonna be screaming. Your wives, you know, the women gonna be screaming because it's a frog jumping on them. You know, these one plagues where people can just take, you know, handle. You know, we already know how it is when you around a bunch of mosquitoes, they just keep flying around you, or flies. We just say flies, Lord, use flies. But you know, you got a lot of flies just flying around you, how annoying it is. Well, the Lord was annoying these Egyptians with that.
Right.
You gotta think about it, how these plagues really was affecting their daily life. They couldn't live. You can't live normal when you got frogs all in your house. You know, you got all these plaguing. That's why the Lord, in our captivity, when He brought these curses on us, He brought us in a lower state. One of the main things you will see in Jake's house is roaches. You know, that you will see them crawling all up on the wall at night. They all, you know, where Jake is. You know, you don't really want to sleep, or you really don't want to sleep until you kill it.
Yeah, you know, I done went over some partner house. Ain't no but roaches in the house. No little bitty roach, not the big roach.
Yeah.
The little bitty roach. Man, you want something to eat? First thing you will say, man, I'm good. I'm good. Cause you don't want none.
Right.
You know, knowing all the roaches. I done went in somebody's kitchen, knowing them little bitty roaches eating the cornbread. Made a hole in the cornbread. Or chicken, you know, eating the chicken.
Right. And then the Lord's so cold, He already know that we don't like Him. Then He gonna go and give them wings. Now they can fly.
Yeah, they can fly.
You know? So the Lord, He definitely plagued our people, and like I said, we don't like to live around that. So how much more during that time when the Egyptians, they got frogs just all up in their environment, you know, and everything was much bigger in the ancient world. It wasn't as small as it is now. Everything is lower stature.
That's right.
So they had to deal with that.
Then the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the river, over the stream, and over the canal, and over the pool among the trees, and make frogs come up on the land of Egypt. So Aaron stretched out his hand with his staff over the water, over Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But the magicians, soothsayers, priests, did the same thing with their secret heart in enchantment and brought up more frogs on the land of Egypt.
Right. So the Lord had brought up frogs, and then the Lord had the Egyptians to bring up more. Just they were trying to replicate it, and they unintentionally brought up more of the plague upon their own self.
Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, plead with the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me and my people, and I will let the people go, so that they may sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses said to Pharaoh,
what verse you at?
9.
Jump down to 13. So the Lord, so Pharaoh said that ask the Lord to take them away from us, and then I'll let y'all go. And this is the Lord's response to it.
Verse 13, it says, the Lord did as Moses asked, and the frogs died out of the house and out of the courtyard and village and out of the field. So they piled them up in heaps, and the land was detestable and stank.
Right, so the Lord allowed all them frogs just to die. And them frogs died, and like I said, it started to stink. And somebody had to clean that up. So the Egyptians, they had to go through, because all these plagues was coming upon the Egyptians. The Israelites wasn't experiencing this. The Egyptians were. So the Lord, they had to go clean it up. And again, this is just going into how the Lord brought them plagues, and because of their Pharaoh, because of their leader, the people were suffering. Just like, again, in modern day time, because of the leadership of this earth, you got Trump in leadership of America. The American people are going to suffer horribly.
Especially our people going to suffer worse.
Right.
There is.
You got it.
But when Pharaoh saw that there was temporarily relief, he hardened his heart and would not listen or pay attention to them, just as the Lord had said. Pharaoh of gnats and insects.
The plagues.
Yeah, the plague of the gnats and insects. Then the Lord said to Moses, say to the Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike dust of the ground, and it will become biting gnats, lice throughout the land of Egypt. They did also. Aaron struck out his hand with his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and there were biting gnats on man and animal. All the dust of the land became gnats through all the land of Egypt.
Right, so the Lord brought gnats on, and then they said biting gnats. These gnats started biting the people. They started getting attacked by. Again, how you gonna live like that? You go into your house at night, around your family, and you just got gnats flying everywhere, and they steady biting. You can't even eat your food because they flying all over your food. Your woman is uncomfortable. You just think about the women. You know how women like to be comfortable. Even if they heathen women, they still like to be comfortable. They can't get comfortable because of the plagues. Their children are suffering. So the Egyptians were suffering again because of the ignorance and the negligence of the Pharaoh. He still don't realize the power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, but the Lord was gonna make a believer out of him.
Right.
And again, this is the same process the Lord is doing to modern day Egypt. That's why we come out and prophesy. This is essentially what Moses was doing. He was prophesying to Pharaoh, look, if you don't let my people go, the Lord gonna continue to bring more plagues on you until he destroy you. And your people gonna suffer because of you. And that's what's going on. We see more and more how the MAGA is turning on Trump. We see how the Edomite woman is turning on the Edomite man. We see how Americans are turning on their government. We seeing all this. You still got Jake caught up in Babylon the Great, 2/3 of our people, so you gonna get caught up in it too. And we just praying for mercy. Because when the Lord was bringing these plagues, he didn't show no mercy. You know, he wasn't showing no mercy to these Egyptians. He ain't had no certain Egyptian family that he liked or that was cool with, and he was like, okay, I ain't gonna bother them as much. No, they all was suffering.
Yep.
And at this time, the whole nation of Israel was exempt from the plagues that the Lord was bringing, but it ain't like that this time.
You know, when you're sitting around barbecue, you have more flies, you have a lot of nets at this time of moment, you know, with the time we live in. They biting that, they all over your food. You can't even eat your food at a decent barbecue. They all over. Same thing during that time, the same time they're doing the time we living in at this moment.
The article just hit my phone. The U.S. powerful, deep penetration just destroyed Iran's missile site. It's a bunker buster. Bomb. You know, so they're revving it up over there. You know, it's getting deep. You know, so U.S. just dropped a bunker buster on Iran.
But it did just now.
Yep.
Iran over there tearing Israel up too. That's what they tell you. Like last night, Iran, every missile Iran shot out hit its target. You know. Yeah, it's getting ugly. It's been ugly. You know, they ain't telling you what's really going on. You know, they talking about what the U.S. doing, but it's gonna draw all the nations into the war. You got I see. Really, they really trying to bring China to their knees with what they doing. So China then took Israel aircraft carrier destroyers over there. So. I mean, took Iran, you know, so.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Well, it's
there,
but
it's there. It's getting where it needs to be.
Yeah. All these other little wars about to get started, like China and Japan going to war, and Israel and Iran fighting, and then UK, Europe is going to go to war with. I think so. UK and Russia going to war.
Oh, okay.
And Africa is in it as well. It's in the center.
For real.
Right, yeah, because that's Ezekiel 38 let you know. Then they say Ethiopia, now you know all them the Hamitic nations, so-called African countries.
Yeah.
You know, because they backing everybody coming against the U.S. basically. They're Israel, because they the problem of the earth basically. Even Europe have turned on America. Trump like we don't need them no more. You know, so you got
verse 18 it says, then the magicians, soothsayers, priests tried by their secret art and enchantment to create gnats, but they could not. And there were gnats on man and animal. Then the magician said to Pharaoh, this is a supernatural finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had said.
Right, so this is the first plague the Egyptians couldn't replicate. And they was like, this is the power of the Heavenly Father. We can't do this. You know, we ain't got that power to do this. But they, like you said, the Lord didn't stop there. He brought even more plagues on the Egyptians. And like the brothers going into all this, what this war is doing, it's the Lord setting it up to where because the American people are the most hated people on the face of the earth. These other countries, they look at the American people, how you live, and you can read like some of the comments that other nations, people in other countries leave when they talk about Americans, how luxury, you try to live this luxurious lifestyle and entitled. or this sense of entitlement. You know, that's how the American people live. And you were looked at really as,
hey, how you doing? You got it? All right,
you too.
Shalom, sister.
Right. Like I said, the American people, these other countries, they look at the American people, they don't like you. That's why you can't really go to the other countries. You got certain locations you can go, but when you go and live in other countries, well, really, if you were Edomite, because you know Jake, unless Jake just a 2/3, you know, they won't really just treat Jake like that. Not anymore. How we've been treated. A lot of these other countries, they looking at Jake like you've been suffering under these Edomites, you know. But the Edomites go to the other countries, they ain't treated the same. Because it was one video, I think he could have been a Jake, but I think he was a Moabite or either Ammon. I don't know exactly which one he was. But he was talking about it was an Edomite recording him, and the guy was basically talking shit about Esau. And so going into the Epstein file, basically saying like how he liked to go in and you know, have, you know, rape children, you know, what they was doing in the Epstein file, how they like to eat people. Yeah. And the Edomite was basically saying, you think that's everybody? And the man was like, yeah. You think it's all you Edomites? You know, he said white people, you know. But he was basically basically coming out telling how he really felt about you Edomites. You Edomites are not liked by nobody on the earth. So when these plagues really start coming to other nations, they ain't gonna be thinking, well, say the American people, because you don't never be like that for the other nations. You know, when the famine comes, when the race wars, race riots, when you rise up against your government and violence gets to an all-time high over here, the other people of the other nations gonna be looking back and just watching.
Right. And that was one thing Moabite said that the elder was bringing out, that civil war was going to happen. And he was naming the countries, and the U.S. was one of them. And China was one of them, I believe. That, you know, these civil wars are going to start breaking out and happening, which is going to really decay things and make it harder for them to gather people for war and all of that. And, you know, it's going to be like total chaos in a lot of areas. Verse 20.
You go with Solomon, 17. Yeah, Solomon 17.
Verse 20. It said, now the Lord said to Moses, get up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out of the water of the Nile, and say to him, thus says the Lord, let my people go, so that they may serve you. For if you do not let my people go, hear this, I will send swarms of blood-sucking insects on you, and on your servants, and on your people, and on your houses, and the houses of your Egyptians will be full of swarms of insects, as well as ground on which they stand. But on that day, I will separate and set apart the land of Goshen, where my people are living, so that no swarm of insects will be there, so that you may know without any doubt and acknowledge that I am the Lord, and I am the Lord, am in the midst of the earth.
Right, see? Now the Lord said He's finna send blood-sucking insects on the Egyptians, and they gonna be all up in their houses and everywhere they dwell at. But the Lord turned around and said, I'm gonna send it on your people, but I ain't gonna send it on my people. I'm gonna let you know that I put a difference between my people and your people. That's the same thing the Lord finna do in today's time with the plagues. The elect is gonna be affected by what's going on in the earth, because the Lord is gonna be with them. The Lord is gonna be with His elect. And that's how, like, the people also, the scriptures also say, 2 Ezra 16, then it shall be known who are my chosen. because it's gonna be clear and evident who the Lord is dealing with, and the Lord gonna put he gonna put it on display. You know, he gonna make that clear distinction, and he gonna give his prophets the praise and the fame. You know, he gonna give his prophets that fame because we've been put to shame. Lord will we are that number. We've been put to shame. We've been made a spectacle to the whole earth. People done drove by all these years. People done drove by, didn't take us seriously, laughed at us, threatened brothers' lives, threatened brothers' jobs, threatened, their livelihood, whatever the case may have been. People been really mocking the prophets. But now the time is coming where everybody's finna see that the men of the Lord really were the men of the Lord this entire time. It's also Psalms 110, where we're going to in that day, in the day of thy power, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. Then our people, they gonna really want to be an Israelite then. They gonna want to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua then, and for the mass majority of them, it's gonna be too late. When they see the elect with the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua instilled into them, spiritual power, real, true power.
Verse 23. I will put a distinction Salaki. I will put a distinction between my people and your people. By tomorrow, the sign shall be evidence. Then the Lord did so, and there came heavy and oppression, swarms of blood-sucking insects into the house of Pharaoh and his servants, houses, and all the land, Egyptian, the land was corrupt and ruined because of great invasion of insects. Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, go sacrifice to your God here in the land of Egypt. But Moses said, it is not right or even possible to do that, for we will sacrifice to our Lord, our power, what is repulsive and unacceptable to the Egyptians, that is animals that the Egyptians consider sacred. If we sacrifice what is repulsive and unacceptable to the Egyptians, will they not rot and stone us? We must go a 3-day journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our power as he commanded us. So Pharaoh said, I will let you go so that you may sacrifice to the Lord your power in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Plead with your God for me. Moses said, I am going to leave you and will utterly petition, pray, entreat the Lord that the swarms of insects may leave Pharaoh, his servant, and his people tomorrow. Only do not let Pharaoh act deceitfully again by not letting the people go sacrifice to the Lord.
You can stop right there. Right, so, we're going to jump ahead and go and get the 3 days of darkness. Because the 3 days of darkness is, I think, and the firstborn of plagues. I mean, the firstborn, the death of every firstborn. I know for sure Solomon went into more in detail about because that's all these things what will be considered supernatural. If these things would happen in modern day time, everybody would reference it back to what the Lord did in Egypt, and it'll all be considered supernatural, even if you don't believe in the Bible.
saying in verse 20, KJV, but Yahweh Shem Yahushai hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And Yahweh Shem Yahushai said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be a darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose.
Oh, like you read the A and B. You can start the verse with.
10 and 22 in the A and B. So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and for 3 days a thick darkness was all over the land of Egypt. No sun, no moon, no stars. The Egyptians could not see one another, nor did anyone leave this place for 3 days. But all the Israelites had supernatural light in their dwelling.
Right.
Then Pharaoh called to Moses and said, go, serve the Lord.
You can stop right there. All right, now you go ahead. So like it said, what happened, the Lord brought 3 days of darkness, you know, and it said none of it touched the Israelites. The Lord put a clear distinction. He was plaguing these Egyptians. This was right behind each other. This wasn't no, they get 2-3 years of a break and then the Lord bring another plague. Now these people were really suffering back to back to back. But that's what the Lord said he gonna do. Revelations 18, the Lord said he gonna bring that same style of judgment on the American people. And he is a power, he don't change. He's a God that don't change. He don't switch up how he operates. So he gonna do the same exact thing, but the clear distinction is gonna be on the elect, where people gonna know it's something different about the elect. The elect men. That's why, because Isaiah 32 and 2, where it go, they gonna be how they gonna be a covering from all the judgments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. The Lord gonna have to do something to where these people, they gonna know, you know, they gonna be able to see it. Everybody gonna be able to see the clear distinction the Lord put between his elect and the rest of everybody else.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 17 verse 1. That for great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed. Therefore unnurtured souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, fettered with the bonds of a long night, lay their exile from the eternal providence. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions.
Right, and in the GNT it say monstrous apparitions, you know, monstrous sightings. These Egyptians was in the dark. They was in complete darkness, seeing all types of things, you know, and you know, different people in the world, you know, we all pretty sure brothers got testimonies too. We all done said, we done seen things, it can be completely dark. You can be in a complete dark room at night, and you can still see something in there, and it can be completely dark. It can be completely black, you will still see it. You know, so we know these things from experience is true. And what the Lord was doing to these Egyptians, these people, they were dying. They were dying from what they was experiencing. Like I said, from the first plague, you know, all the way down to the last plague, these Egyptians were suffering. They were so done with what the Lord was bringing on them. We could have literally took everything they owned, and they wouldn't have cared as long as we left. Hey, Shalom. That's how bad the Lord was bringing the judgments on them. And again, just keep referencing the Lord finna make these American people suffer the same way. And best believe they're gonna be seeing apparitions and demons on a whole nother level. You know, Lord Because I was thinking about it yesterday too, where Esau get all these scary movie monster ideas from these horror movie creatures and things that he supposedly come up with. Well, all that stuff ain't just fiction. You know, all of it ain't just make believe. A lot of those really be demons. A lot of those really be true. You know, and the horn went off on that. He might put his own twist to it, but a lot of those things really be real. And this is what the Egyptians were seeing.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 4. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear. The noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance.
Right. So they, like I said, they were seeing all type of apparitions. It didn't matter if they closed their eyes or opened their eyes. The Lord brought this was one of, and you know, he say the best for last. Now the death of every firstborn thing, that outweighed everything. That was the last straw, where these Egyptians, they just couldn't take no more. But to have a judgment like this was next level. This was like real world horror movie. People was experiencing like a real world horror movie for 3 days. You know, everybody, you know, talk about what they would do if they was in a horror movie or how they'd survive. But you wouldn't survive because you ain't the one that wrote the script. You know, those people that be acting, you think they'll want their character to be that way? You know, be the one that die by the monster that way? They got to do whatever the director told or the writer wrote out for that character. They can't change the script. These Egyptians, they couldn't change, they couldn't do nothing to what the Lord had.
Yeah, this was, in thinking about it, this was basically a nightmare on Elm Street, because when you go, you know, how the people get in the nightmare, they go to sleep, their eyes are closed. So when you sleep, you know, you basically are going to sleep, you see nothing but darkness.
Right.
You know, but you know that in order for them to illustrate what was happening, they had to show it, you know, as it was light. But it was always a dim, you know, view of what was going on. You know, and then all of a sudden you got Freddy appearing, you know, to slice you up and stuff. You know, it's pretty deep.
And then when we reading this, you know, going into this, it don't say nothing about the Egyptians eating. It don't say nothing about them drinking water. It don't say nothing about how they survived. It literally tell you that they couldn't move for fear. They were literally that scared, that afraid. And you know, you can go a couple days without food, but you can only go so long without water. That's probably why the Lord had it 3 days. Yeah, you can only go so long without a day. I think maybe like 3 days. You can go without drinking water. The Lord had that plague for 3 days. These people weren't able to just go in their go wherever they wanted to, whatever they had their food stored at, and go eat. They couldn't even cook food, and they couldn't protect themselves. So they couldn't. You know, you just gotta imagine. You hearing nothing but screams. That's all you able to hear. Everybody screaming for what they experienced. So you just keep that in mind as we go into it.
Yeah, 3 days of total darkness. You know, no sunlight.
I wasn't paying attention the first time you said.
What's that?
to them women walking up. I was looking at how that last one was mean mugging us.
No power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to light that horrible night.
That's dark.
Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, for being much terrified. They thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not.
Right. It said the things they saw was worse than the things that they actually probably was hearing. Well, not probably what they was hearing. So again, the Lord was allowing them to see demons. He was allowing the demons to really have their way with them. Like I said, they seeing fire appear out of nowhere. It look like it just spreading everywhere. The Lord probably had it to where the fire looked like it was on them, and they just feel like they thought they were burning, and then out of nowhere it just disappeared. The Lord was really having this way with them, torment them. And guess what? We're gonna have that same power to do this to these nations when we get into power. That's just another note that just popped in my mind. We're gonna be able to do this same power to these other nations, play with their mind, mess with them on that level, because how bad they really did us during the time of captivity, especially Esau, Edom,
They did us the same way, mess with our mind.
Esau, yeah.
Yeah, and play with our thoughts.
Yeah, Esau did all type of mind control.
Yeah.
Like you said, manipulated Jake Mind, MK Ultra.
Yeah. They should get the same treat.
Yeah,
And they're gonna get it.
and we gonna do it on a whole nother level, whole nother scale.
Right.
And it ain't gonna be just 3 days of darkness. It's gonna be whatever you think of.
Right.
And when we in that position, when we in the kingdom with our new bodies, our consciousness is gonna be elevated to the next level. It's gonna be beyond this earth. When we get again those new bodies, so we ain't gonna just be subject to these finite brain power that we have right now. Well, you can only think so far. The Lord gonna put us on a whole nother level because we gonna experience so much more. Like we gonna experience more of reality than anything that the other nations have discovered. Because true reality really hasn't even been discovered yet. Because the Lord has had everything hidden since the beginning. So we really don't even know what real reality, the word real is in reality. We really don't even know what reality is until Yahweh Shah returns. That's why he said when he come back, and brother, get that real quick, when Yahweh Shah return, he gonna give us life and he gonna give it more abundantly. He gonna show us how to really live on earth. He gonna show us what life was really all about to begin with, because we really been caught up in Esau's mentality this whole time, into thinking like what we live in is really how it's gonna be in the kingdom. And that's why a lot of times when people think of the kingdom of heaven, even Christians, when they think about the kingdom of heaven, they still model some of the things that Esau, Edom world into the kingdom of heaven. They can't really think outside the box. And granted, we don't know, no eye have seen, no ear have heard, but the Lord has given us an ideal of what it's gonna be like. But like I said, nobody outside of the truth really have an idea of what reality is outside of Esau kingdom.
This is one of them. This is John 10:10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I come that I might have life.
Give life?
I have life.
It's life.
I am come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly.
Right. See, the thief coming to steal and to kill and destroy. This is what Esau Edom done. He done came and he done took everything away from us because he tried to steal our identity like he the people. Which now everybody in the earth know that those people over in the land are not the real people. That why you think they coming out with laws to where you can't even speak against them? Trying to protect them. You wouldn't have to do that if you the real people. We We wouldn't make no law saying you can't say we ain't the real people. But you making a law for them to say that they ain't if you speak against them, you can get put in jail. Then if you claim to be them, you gonna come after us. You know, it ain't happened yet, but we know it's coming.
Yeah.
That's why a famine of the word is gonna come. But like Yahweh Shah said, the thief cometh to steal and to kill and to destroy. That's what Esau Edom done. And he done took the true, he done took reality away from our people. But Yahweh Shah say he coming to bring life or give us life, and we gonna have it more abundantly. So we gonna really know what living really is.
You say like, when you got true power, you ain't got to do all this.
Right.
I said they coming out with all these laws trying to lock you up, do all this and all that. That's just like with them, some of them animes and certain movies. You know, they have like the older man on there. He might look kind of ripped, or he might always have his little robe or something on. You don't really know how he look up under there. You know, he don't never really have to show his power. But when it's time to, you know that's the man who shouldn't have been messing with.
Right.
You know, even Hitler knew who the real people, who the real Jews were. Even Russia, what's his name, the president? Putin. He know who the real Jews over here lies in America. They know who we are. They ain't saying nothing. He could have been and said something long time ago. But they ain't say nothing, but they, you know, it's all about keeping the children of Israel down and grounded.
No.
Back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace. Right? Because all that witchcraft and stuff they was into, now the Lord really let them, he really opened it all up to them. You know, he really showed them the invisible world. You know what I'm saying? That's what really happened. He really put the veil back on the invisible world that we can't see, the things going on around us that we can't see. Mm-hmm. He showed that to them. You know what I'm saying? Why he say, and they was already delving into the, you know, their witchcraft. The Lord just went ahead and gave it to them full throttle.
Put them in the matrix on the evil side.
They probably hearing all the stuff that you hear in the horror movies now. Like a video game, the zombies, the noise, like the mystery box when they go away, the little evil laugh and stuff like that. Man, they up in your ear, you see a little fire or something, just 2 seconds ago, you couldn't see nothing, not even your hand in your face.
Cause see, you when they make them different movies, it makes you wonder. How y'all come up with this? Yeah, they didn't actually experience this. They making movies out of it. Who think of stuff like what they think of? Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Who think of it? You know,
noise makes your hair on your arm stand up.
Yeah, who thinks of that?
And then too, when certain people, or even when you, like as a child, you watch this, you have a natural fear of it. You know, you know, growing, and even some adults, you know, they watch horror movies and stuff, they have a fear of it. You know, and then you have a fear of the dark because subconsciously through your spirit, you know it, you might not even understand it, but through the spirit, you already know something exists or these things exist. And like you just said, the Lord opened it up to them, but he ain't open, because we was able to really see this. You wouldn't want to live in this world. No. Like, cause you can't handle that. And it just proved it right here. Them Egyptians, they were dying. They were having heart attacks from what they was experiencing. And a lot of them, they'll die from fear. You can't handle that.
But they that promise to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul, or sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at.
And that let you know all that movie shit is just for movies. How the protagonist, they'll take down the main horror monster or whatever, Chucky. They'll somehow defeat Chucky every single time, and he can't get the main protagonist or whatever. That let you know that don't go down in real life.
Nah.
And it's gonna happen again to a lot of people. Matter of fact, it was Jake. I don't really know exactly what went down, but I think he killed somebody. He wound up killing somebody. And he was in court, and his attorney was trying to tell him to be quiet. But Jake was like, nah, I'm finna tell you. He was really he was talking against his attorney. But Jake was basically saying he shot like 3 people in the head, and he said they got right back up. And he was saying, how is that possible? He said he was basically telling him that he was seeing something that wasn't even real. And he said even in the courtroom, he said they there right now. He said nobody else can see him but him. The Lord allowed Jake to see whatever it was he was seeing. He said he shot him in the head. They got right back up. He said, how was that even possible? They supposed to be dead. And like I said, he said he was driving on the road. He seen 3 cars, but they really wasn't even there. You know, so the Lord is opening people up to it was another woman. It was an Edomite woman. I did a video on this too. I think she was hearing some type of voices. It was a voice that told her to do something. I can't remember exactly what the article said now, but it told her to do something, and she listened to it. She said she was hearing voices in her mind. I think it was to kill somebody. I don't know if it was a child or something. It was something, but the voices was telling her what to do. These people already got demons on them, and it's just gonna get worse and worse. But like I said, going back to the original point, these people are really on edge, and all it takes is for America to further collapse even more of these prophecies to intensify, and you're gonna really see how much on edge people are. I said that article where the dude decapitated a seagull for trying to steal a French fry from his daughter. But these people, they out of their mind.
For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that passed by and hisses of serpents, they died for fear. They died that they saw the earth which could of no side be avoided.
Right. They said they died from fear. So the term scared to death, that actually came from that's a literal thing. You can actually be scared, so scared that you die. You know, and they was dying from heart attacks, which is gonna say that later on.
Just imagine you're in a pitch black room and you hear the hiss of a snake. I mean, it's gonna freak you out. You can't turn on the light and find it.
Yeah. But you hear it.
You hear it.
And you probably feel it, but it's not even there.
Yeah.
For wickedness condemned by her own witness is very timorous, being pressed with conscience, always forecasting grievous things.
Right. See, and that's the main thing. It said wickedness condemned by its own witness. So meaning the people that was committing wickedness were now being condemned by the very wickedness they was doing. You know, all like the brother said, the magic and the witchcraft they was opening. You know, they were using it on our people too. Why would they be practicing? You know, they weren't just practicing it just to practice it and just to have. They were doing it to our people. You know, just like Esau been doing all his sorcery, as Isaiah 47. He do all his enchantments and sorcery on our people. That's why our people the way they are now. You know, he ain't exempt from the judgment, because I said it Wednesday, Esau is largely responsible for the way our people are right now. And even though 2/3 of our people, they're going to be destroyed, he is heavily responsible for the way they are now. That's why his judgment is going to be without mercy. So, just like it said, wickedness was now condemning the very witness that was doing it. It's the same that's going to happen with our people. They're going to be caught up with these same judgments. How the Lord had these demons going around, and these people, they going to see it, they going to witness it, they going to experience. You wanted to live a demonic life, you wanted to be on demon time, the Lord is going to show you what demon time really is. You got it. I think we're going to finish it out. I ain't going to interrupt.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth.
Right. And you think about it, like I said, fear is the betraying of the security that reason often being
Succors.
like security.
Succors. Let me see.
SUCCOUR.
Yup, it's SUCCOUR. There's some of it. You got Succor. Yeah, Succor.
Aid, help, grief, given in times of distress and difficulty.
Right. So basically, logical thinking.
Sucker.
Yeah, like logical thinking. You know, that all that left them. Logic left them during that time because they couldn't explain what was going on. You can't logically explain what you seeing, what you feeling, what you experiencing, and the noises you hearing. On top of that, like I said, you hearing all the screams of everybody else too. It basically for those 3 days they was in a mental ward, a mental psychiatric. That's where they were. Cause that's what be going on. Those people, they just start screaming out of nowhere saying they saw this and saw that or something touching them. And you know, you had a nurses trying to calm them down. That's what they was experiencing. But with those people, they really be experiencing those demons. Those demons really be messing with people.
Then fear take over. When fear takes over, you know, everything is out the window because you go into a deep survival mode because you're so afraid. You know, your defense system is up against everything. So you really can't think logically because you're trying to rationalize how to survive.
And right, and then you can't explain what you experiencing because everybody around you think you crazy. You know they some of them people, they start telling people what they saw, what they experienced, and the people don't believe them. You know, but you can't explain it. But you know what you saw, you know what you experienced. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we all experienced something when we was younger, or maybe even when you was older. You know, experienced something in the dark. You done seen something, or somehow something supernatural, which it was just the world that we can't see. The Lord allowed you to see it.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth, and the expectation from within, being less, counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. But they sleep in the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, which came upon them out of the bottoms of inedible hell.
Right, so they couldn't even sleep by what was going on. They couldn't get no sleep by what was going on. It's gonna say about how when they closed their eyes or whether they opened it, they couldn't escape.
Were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions, and partly fainted. Their heart failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked for came upon them.
Right, see, there you go. They were dying from heart attacks for, like you said, monstrous apparitions. They were seeing demons that you can't even explain. And like the brother said, where do you think brother said, where you think they get these sounds from, and on the movies where they get these images from? It's things that they have experienced. Because they mess with their left hand energy. But the Lord is finna unleash all of it. This is the end. The Lord said it's finna be a time like never before. He finna he finna unleash everything. Hell, the Lord even talked about the Leviathan coming out, you know? We, you know, all throughout history, you know, people have talked about the Leviathan. You know, we know it's in the scriptures, and some people probably have even seen it. But the Lord finna make it to where the whole earth is finna experience it. Everybody finna see everything that the Lord got created, that He been put up for the times that's to come. You know, this finna be a time like no other. And and the Lord said it's finna make this look like it's nothing.
Made in resemblance of the Leviathan is the Kraken on what was that, Clash of the Titans. Like, you know, they had control of, well, it was supposedly their gods, mythical gods, had control over the Leviathan, but which was the Kraken. And of course, you know, Japan did the Godzilla.
You know what they call it now, Godzilla. I forgot what that means.
First, Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 16. So then whosoever there fell down was straitly kept shut up in a prison without iron bars. For whether he was husbandman, or shepherd, or laborer in the field, he was overtaken and endured that necessity which could not be avoided, for they were all bound with one chain of darkness.
Right, so this lets you know that all the Egyptians suffered. The regular people, again, they were suffering because of their leadership. Or leader, rather, Pharaoh. They were suffering because Pharaoh's heart was hardened and he refused to let our people go.
And this also equates to their mighty men were made like, you know, feeble, like women. You know, because it broke them down. And the same thing is going to happen over here as well. The mighty men over here are going to become feeble like women in travail. You know, and not going to have any strength to fight a fight because of fear.
They already doing that. The soldiers refusing to fight and go to war and fight. They saying they refuse to fight for Israel. They said they refuse to fight and die. And then like you said, even the men over here in America, they're gonna become even weaker when these plagues really overtake them, because they ain't gonna know how to survive.
Right.
They don't know the first thing about survival. And even those who say they know how to survive, they know how to start a fire, they know how to last in the woods by themselves. If you ain't got Yahweh Shema Shah with you, you don't know how to survive, because you can't prepare for the judgments He's finna bring. There's no way possible to prepare for the judgment Yahweh Shema Shah got. And the Lord literally saying the only way for you to survive is if He's protecting you. And if He protecting that man, that's the only way for a woman to survive, through the man. So there's no way for you to survive. Jake really don't know what survival, or people don't know what survival really is. The Lord literally controls it all. You can prepare for everything to live out in the woods, and you can get bit by a spider out there and die.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about that. By going overseas over war, when you fighting in their land, you got sand, you got snakes, you got scorpions, you know, and all kind of poisonous insects over there. So, you know, and we just read the plague, so the Most High might bring them all out, you know.
Right.
Whether it were a whistling wind or a melodious noise of birds,
Dad rolled the window up.
along the spreading branches, was a pleasing fall of water running violently. or a terrible sounds of stones cast down, or a running that could not be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a rebounding echo from the hollow mountains. These things made them to swoon with fear. For the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Over them only was spread a heavy night, an image of that darkness which should afterward receive them. And yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness.
Right, so the Lord said over the rest of the world, everything continued as is. So even like what's finna come to America, like the whole earth is finna feel the plagues, but the Lord is finna bring the worst judgment to America. And what's finna happen over here, everybody finna see it. The rest of the earth is finna see just how devastating those thermonuclear missiles are finna destroy America. You know, the Lord is finna do that, and the elect gonna be seeing it from the chariots. They're gonna be watching how the Lord completely destroy this place. You know?
Knock the power grid out, no electricity, no nothing.
See, that's exactly what we talking about. You know, the total darkness. You got one, you got it. Revelation 18. Just read 1 to 10. 1 to 10. No, KJV.
This is Revelation chapter 18 and verse 1 in the KJV. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the holder of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Right, so you can find all manner of wickedness over here in America, Babylon the Great. Every single thing, you know, the type of iniquity you can think of, you can find it over here. People worship Satan over here, and it's just normal, you know. Yeah, they got a statue for it. You got the whole Epstein files coming out, and now people ain't talking about it. I mean, of course you got the war going on, but people ain't talking about it no more. You know, it's just normal now. So all the wickedness over here in America has been normalized.
But it was one of his like his little henchmen or something like that. One of the lower people, you know, they still big in society. Like they came and did it. He got a whole damn documentary.
Right. Oh yeah.
They still putting it out there. They still got it on the front screen. Surviving did it, all this stuff like that.
They had Surviving R. Kelly.
Yeah, they got that too. When it comes to him, they swept on the road. They got a picture of somebody like a rotisserie person on the table. It's just, now we ain't worried about that no more. Look, we passed it.
Right.
Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Right. Right. So all the nations have done business with America, have made agreements, made treaties, you know, but mainly have done business with America and then started to adopt their philosophies, their doctrines, and their ideologies. That Western culture started to go to the eastern side of the world.
Revelation 18:3 in the AMP. For all the nations have drunk from the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality, and the kings and political leaders of the earth have committed immorality with her. And the merchants of the earth have become rich by the wealth and economic power of her sensuous luxury.
Right. So like I said, because a lot of the products, they come from other countries, made in India, made in China, made in Europe. A lot of the products that we buy come from the other countries. And those vendors in the other countries make tons of money. You know, they make a lot of money off of the American people here. We be ordering stuff, Amazon, you know, Temu, whatever you order from. But like I said, all these countries, they have adopted the Western culture in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So, but it just said a verse before that it's all manner of wickedness over here in America. So when you start adapting the Western culture, you start adapting wickedness.
It
Then they say all nations have drunk of the wine of her passion of her sexual immorality. Going back to the Epstein files. All them nations been in on it. You know what I'm saying? We're getting it. You know what I'm saying? The East India, all them been in. They show you in that movie Taken though. They're Taken, the first Taken. When they was doing the sex trade, when they kidnapped his daughter, it show you, you know, that's real life. That's real. You know, they show you them movies, sex trafficking. They got a sex ring with children. Cause I had this video. I don't know if I seen the video, but it was showing how many children come up missing every year in each country. And America was number one, but it was like 450,000 in America. Then it went to India. You know what I'm saying? Went to a lot of different nations. Yeah. And all these children coming up missing, and it's like, where they going? But that's what. Read that again.
For all the nations have drunk from the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality.
Right.
And the kings and political leaders of the earth.
The kings and the political leaders of the earth
have committed immorality with her.
Right. See, they committed immorality with her, whether it's that sexual immorality, you know, we already know they conspired against us. And we just read about how the beginning of Wisdom of Solomon 17 said when any people, when any ungodly nation starts to plot on the holy children, this is gonna be the outcome for them. You know what I'm saying? They gonna go like it's, and it went into the whole detail of what we just read in Wisdom of Solomon 17. You know, so now all this stuff being exposed, so you go right back to the scriptures and see exactly what it's talking about. You know what I'm saying? All the nations been in on this. Now they exposed, you know, now it's all being exposed. And in Israel, like Epstein, he was a Mossad, you know. He was what is the Mossad? It's what is like an Israel CIA, you know what I'm saying? So that's really how they got Trump moving how they want to, cause you know what I'm saying? They got Trump in all them files, you know what I'm saying, doing all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's all about Esau being exposed right now. You know what I'm saying? That's what, in the least of the flock, drawing everybody out to go to war. You know what I'm saying? Because they really was like right before they started, right, like days before they struck Iran. Iran had hacked into them files. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're right. Iran hacked into them doggone files because Iran got some, you know, that's one of their main technology. They can hack. They hack stuff. You know what I'm saying? They tapped into them files and got all type of just seeing everybody. So, you know, this is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But that's how Esau always moved. To hide his wickedness, you know, he a vagabond in the earth. You know, he running from fruit. He running from his. He trying to run from his destiny, but it's over with now. You know.
Caught up.
That video that Elder Tahar was playing, that guy talked about the Mossad. He said it was the most elite of all the CIA
spy agents
in the country.
Right.
I'm gonna pay up for it.
And the merchants of the earth have become rich by the wealth and economic power of a sensuous luxury.
A sensual luxury. You got
Verse 4 in the KJV. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Right. See, and it said receive not of her plagues. The Lord is finna bring plagues on this place. Now we came out spiritually. You know, we disconnected from this place, but the Lord is going to physically deliver us from out of Babylon the Great so that we don't be destroyed by the wickedness of this place. And like I said, be not partaking of her plagues. So like we were just going into some of the plagues of Egypt, plagues of America is finna happen, and it's going to be on a whole nother scale. And again, the people of America are going to suffer horribly. Okay.
And I heard another, verse 4 in the AMP, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, so that you will not be a partner in her sins and receive her plagues. Verse 5 in the KJV, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Shem Yahushua hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works.
Right, and that's a part of what the Lord is finna bring to the American people, double. But like I said, you got how the American people have lived so luxuries and entitled this whole time since America been established as a country, they having a sense of entitlement, like we first world country, first class. You know, we get the best of everything. And you have a lot of people, both of our people and you know Esau. They think when you talk about another country, they be surprised that they actually have cities and technology and electricity. Like they really think these other countries is underdeveloped. You know, they don't consider that these other countries are just as advanced as America, just not as wicked. You know, they don't even be thinking like that.
You know, that's because they portray that.
Yeah.
You know, like just like in Africa, you know, they had us thinking people living in huts.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. When I was a kid, I thought all Africa was dirty huts.
Right. You know, and you know, just living the worst of the worst. But you know, places like you know, Nigeria and all these Kenya and all these places, I mean, they have just as finer and better than we have over here.
And then a lot of the times they be the same way, because you got Edomites and Edomites that live in trailers. You know, they live in broke down trailers, and they don't be they be poor. So you know, it ain't like the brother said, it ain't like when you go into these other countries like Africa. That's how the whole country is. You know, wherever you might think about India, they thinking that it's still the ancient architectural. You know, they ain't got modern buildings. You know, like I said, these other countries, they caught up in a lot of the world advancements, but it's just not as wicked as America is. And a lot of times they don't have the same stuff that America do, because the stuff that America has be banned in other countries. You got it.
The way these modern buildings built anyway, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they build stuff, you might consider it a hut or something, but they done built it out of it's a natural resource. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it bring good energy. You looking at it as a hut. Like all these buildings America built in square, you know what I'm saying? Like made of squares and brick. All they do is trap your energy. You know what I'm saying? They drain your energy and trap it. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. Right. You know, so you looking at something like it's luxury, and at the same time it's made to trap you. You know what I'm saying? It's made to trap your, like how we got apartments and houses. When you in there all day, ain't no opening to nothing. That's trapping. All that's doing is trapping and draining your energy.
Right.
That's why when you go outside and then you start to get into nature, you start to feel yourself. Like when people get depressed and anxiety, know what that is, because you been in the house too long. You know, you in the house too long, you're on a device too long. You're not in nature how you should be. You're not around trees, you're not around grass and water.
Sunlight.
Yeah, sunlight, you know. That's how you get rid of depression and anxiety, you know. You trap it, huh? Right, all of it, you know what I'm saying? All of it. The body become diseased at a disease because you know you in the inside of a place just trapping all your energy.
Right. And then they got us walking on the slab of the house is on concrete, and then they got you walking on ceramic tile or fake wood, whereas in the other countries, you know, they may have a dirt floor. You know, that they can walk and grind, you know, grinding with the
Staying grounded.
right, staying grounded with the earth.
Just like me, I got a little sick a few days ago. Like you say, I've been in work with some box inside the building for 4 hours now. You know, right. Previously, then you get out of work, go straight home, you in the box. Right. I got a little sick, but I was riding around Sunday with somebody's house, and I just ended up getting up and sitting outside. I was in the house at first, nose still stopped up and everything. I went outside, just sat down on the ground, and my nose started opening up. I was good. I was just looking in the sky. Yeah. Got back in the house. Somebody had called me. Sat down for a minute. Started to feel sick again. So I said, I'm about to go back outside till it's time to go. Yeah. I was good as long as I was outside.
Yeah, it's all that trap pollen in the house and other stuff inside the house. And outside you're getting a fresh breeze because it was kind of windy Sunday.
Yeah. Feel great.
You gotta change the air filters. You know what I'm saying? How Esau got stuff set up where all the air just recycling back again in the house. Ain't no fresh. That's why they call it fresh air. You know, but you can't really open your windows, because you open your windows, now you letting more. I ain't gonna even say you letting chemtrails in, because it's already getting in. You just letting more of it in.
It's better though to keep windows cracked. You know what I'm saying? Let the air out. You know, of course the air polluted, but this air still better than shit locking in the house. You know what I'm saying? Cause it ain't nothing but germs. It's just trapped air. You know what I'm saying? When the sun shines, it started to purify and cleanse them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had those attic fans.
Right.
Which our parents and grandparents cracked the windows, like the brother saying. You let one all the way up, but you crack the other ones, and that air cycled through the house. And that was one way they cleansed the house, to get rid of all the dirt, suck it out.
Another way to cleanse the earth, like get bamboo trees. You get some bamboo plants in your house, like that cleans the earth. That tree cleans the earth 35% more than any other tree. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Purify the earth, it cleans the earth. You got you can say something.
No, I was just gonna say, I think my mama house got one of them, something like an attic fan. You turn it on, it lift up in the middle.
Yeah, I got one in my house.
It'll shake the whole house.
When you walk down the hall, that's covered up.
Yeah, we got in our house some kind of thing you purify, you pour something in it, it cleans that, keep the air purified. We got that through our house. Purified, yeah. Yeah, we got to cover that through our house.
Keep it from getting too dry, too dry.
Yeah.
Like if the air get too dry.
Yeah.
And I know your throat start to get sore, and then you got sore throat. You got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Revelation 18:6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works, in the cup which she had filled to her double.
Right.
How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow.
Right. So this is what the American people say. This is what this country promotes. That it'll never go down. That's why you see Jake still, they out here not out here like literally, but just seeing from videos, last week, the whole spring break chaos, and Jake just, cause they still in that, not even just outside of the spring break, you had Jake still in that family reunion style mentality where they just getting together and dancing and everything is all good, like ain't nothing gonna happen to Babylon the Great. But this is what America promotes, like ain't nothing gonna happen. But literally, those scriptures say that this place is finna be touched. This place ain't finna be untouched any longer. And the Lord said, give unto her double. So the Lord finna go above and beyond with the plagues and destruction that the American people are really about to experience. And we already seen we read about what some of what the Egyptians were experiencing. They couldn't handle that, especially when they got close to the end. Those were like birth pains. They just continually got worse and worse as the plagues, as the final plague drew near, or rather, before the time for our people actually left Egypt. Those plagues got worse.
It really ain't been nothing that really shook America up. They done had their little attacks, the 9/11 stuff like that, but they ain't really just had nothing to really shake it. So even now, you got they into it with Iran and stuff like that. It's just like we got a guy in our group, the game we played, group we played the game with. So they were like when it first happened. I forgot what had happened. I think somebody asked him what you think Iran gonna do. He was like, oh man, they sent something over here. They gonna get blew down such and such before you even get over here. Like you just can't shit happen to America. Okay, they got a missile defense system, but what's gonna happen when they shoot off so many of them motherfuckers at a time?
That's what happened in Israel.
They can say, all right, stop out with it.
Yeah, that's what happened in Israel. See, that's what Iran been doing. All they've been doing is just stocking up on however many missiles they can get and drones. You know what I'm saying? Now Israel running out of missiles to defend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the intel. When they had defenses, said, okay, they blowing it down from over here. Right. You only got so many.
Right. Yeah.
If you only get so many at one time, something gonna get through. Yeah. It's just like with Like what they do with the drugs. You know, you send the little dummies in, we willing to lose this as long as the main shit we get to.
Right.
It's just like with sports. You know what I'm saying? You can only count for so much. Yeah, you got the East Coast, West Coast, whatever. I forgot what side closer, but you don't go so far. If you send everything you got in one spot, but they all got a different one, something get tore up.
Right, and
like
then
blitz.
and the Lord said America's defense system is gonna fail. But he said every arrow gonna hit its mark. So the Lord said they ain't gonna miss. I think what Joel chapter 3, chapter 2 comes.
Verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. So strong is Yahweh Shah who judges her.
Right, so he said the plague's gonna come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and then she gonna utterly be burned with fire. That's all thermonuclear missiles. That's the final touch. So everything that's gonna happen is gonna bring death, it's gonna bring famine, and that's what we seeing now. You know, the sport, violence is gonna increase, people gonna continually lose their mind. You know, what are people gonna do during this time? We seen what the Egyptians were trying to do. They barely could survive. Only reason why they were surviving because the Lord